What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and today we're going to be talking about FinTech. So if you've never heard of FinTech, it's pretty much the combination of finance and technology. So it is pretty much a new sector within the finance industry that is growing really fast because everything is moving online. You have cloud services, you have everything is digital. If you work in finance, you want to be able to keep up with that technology because if you fall behind, that's when you run into a lot of problems. So that pretty much sums up the definition. So if you want to learn more about FinTech, go ahead and Google it. You'll find a lot of information on it. To make it simple, it is when you mix technology and finance. So what are some good examples of this? So if you look at platforms like Robinhood, Webull, M1 Finance, so these are platforms where anyone is able to trade stocks, and they've made it accessible to everybody. If you're old enough, you can literally create an account and start trading with $1. These are platforms that are pushing the boundaries of traditional finance and kind of like moving it into technology, which creates FinTech. All right, so with the rise of FinTech comes FinTech jobs, right? So in order to work in FinTech, you need knowledge in technology. When I say technology, this is a very broad topic. So, if you want to be specific, you can look at things like computer programming, you can look at things like cybersecurity, and a lot of other things that are involved within technology. And then you move on to the finance side, where you're going to be looking at things like, financial analysis. So you can explore the different positions in finance, and you combine that with your knowledge in technology, and you come up with FinTech. So I want to talk about two of the best jobs which are in high demand, which is what a lot of people are getting into. So the first one is going to be cybersecurity. So you've probably heard of this one. So cybersecurity has been one of the fastest growing jobs. So before FinTech, cybersecurity pretty much focused on just technology itself, just regular cybersecurity stuff. So when you bring someone who has knowledge in cybersecurity, you give them a finance background, they're going to be able to work in FinTech, which is going to be maybe working with a platform like Robinhood on how they can secure that platform. And you kind of like have this finance background where you're able to communicate with someone who doesn't have a technology background. And also cybercrime is on the rise, and this leads to these hackers targeting financial institutions because that is where the money is. So this includes things like, banks, investment banks, hedge funds, things like that. And most of the time, a lot of these institutions have other people's money. So think about a bank is holding your savings account, your checking account. Think about an investing platform like Robinhood. That is where you put your money to buy stocks. So now imagine if your account is hacked. Actually, a couple of weeks ago or months ago, Robinhood was hacked, and the hackers were able to get information on thousands of accounts. So now imagine if they had a team of cybersecurity people that also have a finance background. That would help them, like they say, follow the money and you find, who committed the crime. But this would help them when it comes to investigating the actual cyber attack, or sometimes it could just be testing the system, right? So if you want to have someone to test the system to see if it's secure, you want someone who knows where to find the weak spots, right? Because that is what the hackers are going to do. And when you are able to identify these weak spots in the system, that is where they try to use intelligent encryption to try to secure the data. So that is pretty much it when it comes to cybersecurity. So this is something that's already out there. But when you add finance to it, you can actually work in the finance industry, and you're going to find it a lot easier to communicate with someone who is just strictly finance. They don't know anything about cybersecurity. So the more knowledge you have on finance, the easier it's going to be. And a lot of people that do this, they usually graduate with a cybersecurity degree, and they just go back for a couple of finance classes just to get a finance minor. Or they could go the opposite. They have a finance degree and they go back for a cybersecurity degree. And you kind of like have a combination of both. So whichever way works for you, go ahead and do it. All right, moving on to the next one, which is a Quantitative Analyst. They usually call them quants because it is a big word. Imagine having to say that every time you want to refer to it. So these are pretty much like the rocket scientists of finance. These are going to be the people that are responsible for building complex trading programs. So when it comes to this, think about brokerages, like Robinhood, like BlackRock, Fidelity. Think about those. So this is where these people people are going to be working. They're going to be building algorithms. All right, so these people are going to need knowledge in programming when it comes to, it might be Python, it might be any language, and that they also need knowledge in finance because, if you're programming something, you want to be able to understand, what it's going to do. All right, so these people usually work in places like investment banks and hedge funds, which is where there's usually a need for these complicated algorithms. And if you want to look at their skill set, it's not just technology and finance. It's going to include things like math, data science, application development, and many other things because they are dealing with complex algorithms and things like that. So you definitely need to be a rocket scientist of finance to really work in this position. So a lot of people that work in these positions have obviously their finance background, and they also have a computer programming degree or computer engineering where they have exposure to programming, and that is definitely going to help them build those complex algorithms. But that is pretty much it for this video. Now there is way more positions than these, but I thought these were the most important. But you can definitely find more positions in the fintech industry. So let me know if you guys want to see a part 2 where I go over some more positions. But that is pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.